Afternoon, gentlemen. Shall we get right into it? Let's start with Enzo Fernandez. Could Manchester City still come back in for him? Have they just completely disregarded this deadline?
Well, as far as we're concerned, City still see him as a target in this transfer window. We know that Chelsea were looking for £120 million on what they described as deadline day on Friday. 5 p.m. was the deadline which Chelsea gave to any interested club to put up £120 million to sign Enzo Fernandez. As far as they were concerned, once they hit 5 p.m. on Friday, that was that saga over. But things aren't so clear as that, because we understand that City haven't ruled out making a bid between now and deadline day, the start of September, just over 2 weeks ago now, until the transfer deadline. Now, with that window that Chelsea created having passed, it remains to be seen whether they would still take £120 million on the same payment terms as they asked for on Friday at 5 o'clock. Because what we were hearing from Chelsea sources on Friday evening, when no bid came in from City, and Enzo Maresca suggested in his pre-match press conference on Friday that they weren't going to do any business on Friday, that they said that they expect Enzo Fernandez to stay. That's what we were told by Chelsea sources on Friday, which clearly isn't a massive guarantee that he's going to be there fighting for his place this season and beyond. He's still got 6 years left in his contract, but there's a suspicion that this saga isn't over, despite the fact we had this arbitrary transfer deadline placed on Friday at 5 p.m. It still feels like could be some movement between now and that transfer deadline, the real transfer deadline.
The real one, exactly.
Manchester City's midfield rebuild is turning into a race against the clock. Despite missing a strict £120 million deadline, City are refusing to give up on their pursuit of Chelsea's Enzo Fernandez. With Rodri heading to Barcelona, new manager Enzo Maresca is desperate for a reunion with his former midfield general, and the tension is already spilling onto the pitch at Stamford Bridge. The missed deadline Chelsea had set a firm 5 p.m. deadline on Friday, August 14, for Manchester City to submit a formal £120 million bid for Fernandez. While that cut-off passed without an official offer, City are still actively weighing their options and could launch a late swoop before the transfer window officially closes on September 1. Why City needs him? The pressure is mounting on City's front office to secure reinforcements. The club is set to lose defensive anchor Rodri to Barcelona in a £65.4 million deal, while Tijani Reinders is expected to depart for Saudi Pro League side Al Qadsiya for £51 million. With massive voids to fill in the centre of the park, Maresca views the World Cup-winning Argentine, who he managed during his time at Chelsea, as the perfect fit to lead his new-look midfield at the Etihad. Drama at Stamford Bridge, the uncertainty surrounding Fernandez's future, is creating a noticeable divide in London. During Chelsea's 3-1 pre-season friendly victory over Real Sociedad on Saturday, the 25-year-old was met with a mix of boos and supportive chants from his own fan base when he was substituted on in the 62nd minute. However, he received a strong show of support from his teammates, with Reece James notably handing him the captain's armband upon his introduction. Fernandez still has 6 years remaining on his contract, meaning Chelsea holds all the leverage in negotiations. If City are serious about pulling off the ultimate summer heist, they will likely have to meet or exceed that £120 million valuation in the coming 2 weeks. If you thought Manchester City's pursuit of Chelsea midfielder Enzo Fernandez was dead because a Friday deadline passed, think again. Despite missing Chelsea's strict 5 p.m. cut-off to trigger a £120 million agreement, Manchester City have refused to cool their interest. With Rodri's €76 million safe departure to Barcelona locked in, and Tijani Reinders sealing a £51 million exit to Saudi Arabia, new City boss Enzo Maresca is facing a massive midfield void, and he wants his former Chelsea general to fill it. Meanwhile, tension at Stamford Bridge reached boiling point this weekend, when Fernandez was met with boos from sections of his own home support against Real Sociedad. Is this a calculated negotiation tactic by Man City, or are Chelsea about to force an astronomical price tag? Here is the full, comprehensive deep dive into the biggest Premier League transfer story of the summer. City deliberately opted not to trigger the formal offer prior to that deadline. Why? Because Enzo Maresca was preparing his squad for the Community Shield clash against Arsenal at Wembley, and advised the board that rushing £120 million outlay before finalising outgoing deals made no financial sense. However, multiple top-tier sources, including Sky Sports and Goal, confirm that letting the deadline expire does not mean City have walked away. Instead, it has shifted total leverage back to Chelsea, who are now legally and financially entitled to demand even more than £120 million if City launch an official bid before the September 1st transfer deadline.